and welcome to another episode of The Conversation. A lot of you saw our 6-month check-in with our good friends Jeanette and Matt. As you guys know, they got married, so we had a 6-month check-in. And during the conversation with them, there were a couple things brought up, but there was one thing. And TQ, I think you were part of that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was part of that video. So in it, he was talking about how women before they get married, I feel like the word is domesticated. Okay, there it is. They got to be domesticated. Is that what you said?
I said something like that.
You're not sure?
Yeah, I said they have to have domestic skills.
Domestic skills. Yeah. Okay. And, a lot of our viewers, we love that you're vocal. We love that about this. We feel like we can touch you. And y'all touched us back. Y'all were like, pause. What is this? And some people had some issues to what you said.
Well, let me, before we get there, if I could.
Oh, the brother want to talk. The brother want to have a conversation.
Yeah, if I could.
Let's go.
I asked the question.
You asked the question.
I asked the question of whether or not a woman who was seeking to be married should be worried about if she doesn't have any domestic skills. Should a man, or what should a woman think about if she can't cook, or she doesn't want to, she can't clean, or she doesn't want to? What should a man think about that?
Yeah. You also answered your question.
And my personal opinion was, you should learn how. Like, first of all, I'm a clown. So when I said you should learn how to cook, man, that's my. That's
that is exactly how you said it.
I did say that. That's my Martin background. I used to watch a lot of Martin, so he comes out every now and then. But even though I was clowning, people did not get my sense of humor.
It didn't translate.
It didn't translate. But the reality is, I still do believe that.
Okay.
I do believe that, like Matt and Jeanette said, you can't be a team if somebody comes to the table without some skills to take care of the house. Both players do that. And for myself, I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Okay.
So when I was growing up, first of all, my mom would not let us leave the house. Like during the summer times, she wouldn't cook for us. She wouldn't do any laundry, stuff like that, because all the kids had to make their own meals, make menus, do all the grocery shopping, clean, so we could leave with those skills. And then two, now is I have an MBA. I was also in aerospace as well. But whenever we had our first child, our family, my wife and I decided that I should stay at home and take care of the kids, and I've been doing that for 3 years. So I'm not against men doing their part to contribute. The point that I was making, wanted to clarify, especially for anyone who was offended, I apologize for offending you. I didn't want to do that. But I do still believe that it's important that if you don't have those skills and you're hopeful that some man is just going to take me as I am. Some men would just like to have someone to help carry the load. That's the kind of the bottom line. So from there, I'd be happy to hear what anybody else has to say or think.
Got it. Yeah. And so for the women, some of y'all might be like, yeah, but it's 2015. And that may be a thing, like, times have changed. Just like we don't have rotary phones, we got smartphones, and we can make reservations. So what do you all have to say, like, in response? Like, do you guys have any feelings? Like, do you feel like you've been married? Right. Was that a big thing in your previous relationship?
It actually was a thing.
Okay.
Because I was not very domestic. Unlike TQ's mother, my mom did everything. I didn't clean, I didn't have to cook. So I didn't pick up those skills at an early age. But we did compromise, and I worked a lot of hours, so we did trade off. When I saw the video, I thought it was funny. Like, I took it as a joke. Yeah. I was not offended by it. But anybody, period, I think that male or female should have some domestic skills. You need to be able to take care of yourself. You need to be fed. You need to know how to clean up. Yeah, I was definitely team bring in a housekeeper.
Okay. and I think that's a good point, because it is 2015, and it's like, I love a clean house. I clean my own house. Like Saturday mornings, my mother, African mom, like, you cannot go anywhere until you have cleaned up. So chores was Saturday morning. Like, that's what we did. So even now as an adult, like, that's what I do. But I also have a thing about when it's like, you expect it though? Like, I'm gonna do it, but you expect it?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Okay. It was kind of like it was like, And I know TQ, so like I didn't take it offensive, but I get like people's point of view because you were like, learn to cook and clean, you know? It was just like, whoa, hold up, don't talk to me like that. And I think that's why it rubbed people the wrong way.
So if you saw me in the car with my wife and we have a flat tire on the side of the freeway and I tell her, hey babe, gender roles don't exist, hop on out, fix that flat tire for your boy, okay? And you drive by and you see my wife fixing the flat tire while I'm at the steering wheel posted up chilling, what do you think of me at that point?
That's pretty sad, actually. Let's say you didn't know how to change a tire. I don't know if you do or you don't, but if you got a flat tire and be like, go change it, you should know how to do that, right? Like you're gonna be like, well, calm down, you know? I think that's how it was taken.
So, if I could, let's take, like, I was clowning. For the record, I was clowning.
Yeah.
But if I was saying it clearly, I would say, ladies, you should learn how to cook before you get married. Does that change how you feel about that position?
But here's, does it change?
Like, if it's, so most men, I'm just a reporter.
Okay.
Most men, if you ask them, would like to have a woman who can cook.
Okay.
My sister, when we were growing up, we were doing that cooking. When she would cook, wasn't tight. My sister couldn't cook that well. I love my sister. But listen, when she got
Probably
married, my mom bought her a cookbook. She practiced, got her skills together, and now she can cook great meals. She homemade food for her babies, cooks great meals. So she did it. So if like a lot of men would like that in their wives. So what I wonder about is what position are you advocating for if you're against learning how to do that? If a man expects that, which seems to be the issue.
Can I guess, cancel your question with a question?
Sure.
Now, is it the act of your lady physically being able to do these things, or is it that the need being met? Because if maybe she's not the best cook, but every day you come home from work, there is always a meal, regardless of how we got there. Even if it's not necessarily microwave, but you know, Trader Joe's got a whole rack of options in their whole section that make you feel like you are a chef girl RD, okay?
When we were growing up, like my auntie, she always made sure that we knew how to clean for ourselves, we knew how to cook for ourselves. My grandmother, she was the one who was always in the kitchen, and when she got ill, I was the one who started learning how to do little things, cooking little things. And it was never like a big 5-course meal, but it was something, you know, we wouldn't go hungry, you know. And so as you continue to progress and grow, you'll learn how to do certain things. You'll learn, you can Google any recipe, get a cookbook, you know, it's simple.
Get a computer, ladies.
Yeah, it's easy, it's not
I feel like in
difficult.
2015, like if you don't know how to cook, like why?
Like, wasn't there somebody that said if you know how to boil water, you halfway there. You got a little, you can boil an egg, you got breakfast. Now, Kaz, I'm gonna bring you into this conversation because you've been married the longest.
I have been.
Now, you got married pretty young, 20-ish?
Early 20s.
Now, would that have been a deal breaker, or was that a deal maker and or breaker for you?
It was a consideration. To be honest with you. I'm originally from the islands, and my mom could throw down. My mother could cook. And so my expectations, and that's a key word, were very high when it came to females in general being able to cook. That was my expectation. I kind of culturally assumed that most women would know how to throw down. Came to America, not exactly the way that things go here. In fact, a lot of dudes in my culture cook as well.
Where are you from?
The Bahamas.
Hey, all right.
But with all that said, I think disappointment is the result of unmet expectations. And people getting into a marriage.
Say that again, brother.
Disappointment is often the result of unmet expectations.
That's tweetable.
So if you get into a relationship and you have certain expectations, do your research before you get disappointed. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're dating somebody, that's an easy question to determine. Can you cook? Oh, what can you cook? I mean, don't get married if you're gonna, you know, if that's like, I know some people have a list, quote unquote. If that's a part of your list, then make that a part of your list. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it should be a deal breaker though, because like you just mentioned, you can go online and learn how to cook a meal in 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And Trader Joe's does have some great meals. I will say that.
I from them yesterday, but I can't cook.
Yes, they do. Okay.
I learned how to fry chicken on Google.
Yeah,
you know, so
it's not hard to do.
You can find that stuff anywhere. And
I would like to say that every marriage will be different. Okay, you need to know that there's no cookie cutter marriage. Okay, you could have 2 best friends, married to 2 best friends for the same amount of time, but the dynamics of that household are totally different. Okay, and so it's a learning situation together. It takes time. You know what I mean?
Now, from the female perspective, I don't know. We love a man that can cook.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, somebody like the guy that can sing. The weight of my heart is to my absolute stomach. Okay. Woo! So, I mean, was that something that you guys took into consideration? Is that something that you guys were willing to adopt? Like knowing that, hey, this is something I want from my wife to be able to do, but I want to let her know that I'm a team player.
Me personally, I wanted to be more marketable as a husband.
Right.
So I wanted cooking to be a part of my assets. And so when I came to the table on a date with a young lady, and she asked me, "Can you cook?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh wow, check."
Check.
And vice versa. I think that somebody should try to present themselves as more marketable, so to speak. If there's
We talking business terms
lack of
here. Those stocks just went up.
And so if you have put in, the time to learn one meal, a survival meal, can you make spaghetti? You know what I'm saying? Can you do something that's, just alleviate stress for one night? Cool, you can do that, okay? But I do understand that in today's world, two professionals going to work all day, coming home tired, with the expectation of a hot meal on the table, not happening.
Yeah.
Add kids to the equation, not happening. I get it. But the truth is, unless you want to eat Pop-Tarts and Hot Pockets, you got to come up with a plan.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so cooking has to be a part of it.
And so what's a plan that's worked? I mean, you guys have been married now for a couple of years. What's the plan in your household?
Yeah.
Because all three of your households seem kind of different.
Right.
Sure.
What's the middle ground, or what does that look like?
Well, my wife is the better cook.
Okay.
She's much better than I am.
You're the better tire changer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So she does primarily most of the cooking. However, there's been times where she's sick, or like when my daughter when she was pregnant with my daughters, and she wasn't able to get up and move around as much. I would take that on. But I also got innovative too and started asking other people,
Okay.
"Hey, can you come over here and make some meals? Or can you send us some meals?" And so they did that. So I was able to kind of step in and help out in that regard. But I wanted to address.
He outsourced.
I did.
outsourced.
Because
business conversation.
it's a team. I mean,
Outsource it.
it's a team. So you figure out how to make it work for the team.
Yeah,
But I
I
want to
agree.
address Kaz's point about expectations. In that there seems to be, and I'm about to start a fight, just so you know, okay? I'm about to start a fight. There seems to be greater expectation upon the man doing non-traditional male jobs than there is on women to do non-traditional women jobs. And it goes back to my point earlier. It's like expected. It's 2015, right? It's 2015.
Okay.
You supposed to cook, man. Man, you supposed to know how to clean your house. Man, you supposed to know how to do all these things. But the minute a brother says, "Hey, man, it's 2015. You supposed to know how to clean and cook
Right.
too." It's a firestorm.
Or change a tire.
There you go.
Like there's this, it doesn't go the opposite
It doesn't go
direction.
the opposite way. Yeah.
But okay, so for instance, you have two daughters.
2 daughters,
right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Will you teach your daughters how to change a tire?
Yeah.
Good. Because I mean, I think that's how it evolves.
Yeah.
I think that's
For the
what
record,
actually-
I can change oil and a tire, so.
I'm not the one you
But I
Me neither.
understand. I
I'm like,
completely understand what you're saying, because I personally don't have a problem with it, but I also know how to do those things
Sure.
as well.
But the issue is, we don't get mad at you if you can't.
Right.
We don't get upset with you if you can't change your own tire. We'll just hop out there
And do it.
knock it out. You can't change your oil? I got you, girl. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna handle that oil for you. Now I say I don't know how to cook. How, man? Come on. How come you don't know how to cook? You supposed to know how to cook, man. It's 2015. Man supposed to know how to cook.
Right.
And we're like, hey, why is there this difference here?
Do you feel? I mean, you guys are single. You got when you guys go on dates and you may be asked to do like something. Okay, you cute and everything. Can you cook? Is that? And then he says
It's a plus.
no. Is that like a? Ugh,
It's not for me.
not for you.
No.
Okay.
I actually enjoy cooking, so no.
Okay.
I'd be like, hey,
It's just an add-on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
It's nice if you do.
You enjoy cooking?
Maybe we can get in the kitchen together if you don't.
Okay.
But no.
Teach you some things.
We could look up some
Or
stuff.
what about if you won't change a diaper?
That's a no.
Oh, yeah.
That's just, but see, there's a line here, right? It's the same thing that you were saying. Like,
Yeah.
that's traditionally, if we're to say, like, if you go back to the 50s, that's a woman's role. But today, if a man won't change a diaper, if a man won't carry a purse, that's what he's saying, I think, is the
Yeah.
point is,
Right.
I think it should go, like, I guess my point is, some of those things aren't necessarily, they shouldn't be looked at in a negative manner. Like I already said about the delivery, I get you. I expressed that. I commented to the young lady who had an issue with it, and anyone else who said it, I get that. At the same time, I want to understand what the woman who says, I'm not necessarily okay with being expected to cook, what position are you advocating for?
Got it.
What are you trying to, like, what are you holding on to? Like, what side are you fighting for when you're saying, you man should not expect me, woman, to be able to cook or clean or whatever the case is? Because even if you're single and live by yourself, you have to be able to do those things.
Sure.
My sons are gonna know how to cook and clean. If I have 2 boys, 3 and 1.
Yeah.
If I have a daughter, if we did have one, I would want her to be able to learn how to cook and clean, as well as know how to do with the oil and change the tires and that stuff.
Sure.
So I want to understand, maybe you can say this, what position are you advocating for if it's too big of an expectation for me to have on my list, she can cook and clean?
Anybody? Hey, he's like, they can't win. Come on, y'all.
But you know, I have no rebuttal because I agree. I definitely think it's a team effort. Like you have to just give and take.
I just don't think it's black and white. Like to me,
Exactly.
cooking and cleaning is way different than changing your kid's diaper.
Yeah.
Like that just to me, I think of like father-daughter relation or father-son relationship. Like a father who doesn't change a baby's diaper is usually not an involved father to begin with, and you know he doesn't like as the child grows up, that father-child relationship isn't there. So to me, that's how I view it. So it's not like chores to me. It's be involved with your child. That's your child. I want you to have a good relationship with it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So to me, it's like you're being a bad father. I don't want to marry you. That's why I would say no. Not because
He's just saying, I'll hang out with the baby. As soon as you change the diaper, I'll do whatever you want to do.
I
with
think
it.
how you equate that with like
Yeah.
almost like Christianity, right? It's not a religion of rules. It's
Right.
not a religion of, okay, I prayed, so Jesus come through, or I gave tithes, so blessings. So I think that's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like, no, I'm in relation, and because of that, I will not do this because I know my daddy's not pleased, or I will do this because I know he likes my obedience. And I think that's the same thing, kind of like, okay, well, if my man really wants a home-cooked meal because I love him
Yeah.
and we're in relation, how about this?
Right.
You know, 2 out of 7 nights, I got you, boo. And then the other 5 nights, we can get creative.
And from the perspective of a married man, and maybe you guys can say this, and a person who's married, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of, are you willing? At the heart of it, if you're willing, we can work with whatever you have to
Exactly.
give. We're all good.
Yeah, I hear what he's saying too. Like that, if you come at it from a what, like you're already not open-minded. You're already not like if you came at Jesus like what? You want me to give up what? Nah, it's like, well, how am I supposed to get to you with all the stuff that I want to get to you when you're so standoffish? I
Yeah.
think if that's kind of the common ground. So if we can just keep an open mind. And same thing with guys too, because I also think that perspective, that woman that, you know, to answer your question, that woman that has that almost like don't expect me to do that, it's because, you know, I don't know if they're playing the rappers. I don't know who you are. These chicks ain't loyal. I don't know who's blaming. But you know, they give us so many mixed messages.
Right.
It's independent.
Yeah, they do.
But then bands. Like I can't.
But
Right.
if you're Miss Independent, you know how to cook and clean.
Like, no.
Right.
So it's like they're standing.
Absolutely.
Right?
I hope y'all got that one.
Yeah, say that one.
And then you got the other one, like to just throw it in the bag, or if they ain't looking out. Well, there's so many songs. I don't know why I know all these titles. My iPod didn't tape. But you know, there's so many mixed messages of what a woman's role is to be, and so many expectations. Because like the dudes do want the girls who are like, yeah, if they ain't looking, I don't want her. But if they looking, she not cooking. Like you know what I'm saying? Ooh, that right. I'm gonna be Jesse Jackson. I got you. But
I think part of it too is a fear. Like I think what some people heard when they heard me say, "Learn to cook and clean,"
Yeah.
man. They heard
Man, I can do that.
50s slavery and that,
Exactly.
and it's the same
Yeah.
thing when a man says submission. If I just say submission, it's like, oh, like her face even was like, what do you mean? I'm like, but if you say it in a discussion of women, you can talk about what that means.
Exactly.
And I don't, like you said, maybe it was the rappers, but there's a fear there that you're going to be lorded over.
Exactly.
A man who loves you won't do that.
Not
And,
Yeah.
and if
And he
they-
can do that and
right.
still want you to have a cooked meal.
Of course.
sometimes.
Exactly.
Of
And
course.
again, if you love him, you can be as tired as possible, but you know that like this food is his fuel. because it shows I care about you, I love you.
Yeah. Right.
I'm tired, but I got you.
Can I say something?
Please,
Please
Cass,
don't let me shift the conversation so far left or right. Bring me back if you need to.
Okay.
But I work with young adults.
Okay.
Okay. And the young adults that I work with are between the ages of 18 to 25, to be specific. And as a Christian man in the world today, it's very difficult to be the leader of your household because of the messages that are being sent out by the media, number one.
Exactly.
We as Christian people, men and women, have to fight. We have to fight to establish a particular way within our household. And it's not like we're looking behind bushes and under mattresses to find the rules. It's in the Bible.
Right. Yeah.
Go to Proverbs 31 and see what a virtuous woman, a woman of noble character is all about. See what she does. You know what I'm saying? Go to Ephesians 5, man, and see what men are supposed to do.
Exactly.
And the problem is we deviate so far left and right to the point where in today's world, you see women proposing to men, getting down on one knee. So it's like, how far are we going to let the lines be blurred?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so as a Christian man, I think you have a responsibility, and there should be expectations of a Christian woman, and vice versa. She needs to have the same expectations about me, and look in the Word. Forget what your mom said, no disrespect, mom, or nobody else. But look in the Word. If your mom, whatever she says is not lining up with what the Bible says, clear expectations. So let's not go too far left or right and just be so opinionated. The Lord told us what to do already.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's a fair point, and that's kind of what I was kind of get to with the whole rapping
Sure.
situation. So now that I'm almost equal to a man, as far as like what I'm bringing home and whatever, do you still want me to do this? Because times are changing now. So I think that's where
Right.
the conversation
Exactly.
and that fear
Exactly.
is coming, because it's like,
Exactly.
you want us to go back? We
Right.
done progressed. I mean,
Right.
we're still not at $1 to $1.
Yeah.
Women's History Month. But, you know, that's the fear. That's
Of course.
the fear.
Of
And I
course.
think the fear started because back in the 50s, it wasn't done biblically. Like, people would quote biblically, they'd be like, oh, the women submit, but they weren't doing it. But it's like, okay, well, you're supposed to love me so I can submit.
Yeah.
And I think in the 50s, it wasn't made out of love. Like, it wasn't like, it was like, no, you're my wife, you're gonna do this, you're gonna set up, you know, and that's where the fear started. And because it was done wrongfully to begin with, now to
Yeah,
break
the
through
negative
it, like
connotation.
women have gotten like really hard about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like we gotta take it back, but forward.
Yes, I was the breadwinner. I worked a lot of hours, but I still came home when those dishes were clean because that was our compromise. I cooked 5 nights a week, even working 10, 12 hours a day because my husband wanted a cooked meal. And I loved him enough to even come home, you know, to take care of my home. So again, it's the love and, you know,
And marriage is a
about it.
sacrifice.
Yeah, it
That
is.
is a sacrifice.
My wife,
Sure.
my wife is a doctor. Same thing. It's nights when I'm tired from the day dealing with the kids, and she comes home and we'll make a meal. So I understand this. It's all there.
Yeah. This whole struggle, I think this whole struggle for gender roles and trying to figure out who does what, it goes back further than the 50s.
Yeah,
Yeah. The fall.
definitely.
It goes back to Adam
the
and
fall,
Eve.
yeah.
I mean, really, once sin entered the picture,
It was a wrap.
you know,
after
it was
that, yeah.
like, okay, you're gonna be wanting what he got.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to work extra hard, you know,
Right.
because you messed up some whole stuff, and now your whole identity's all jacked up. You're gonna find your identity in your work. And it's all messed up now. And so when we try to do relationship with each other, and like Cass said, we're not doing it biblically, we're doing it culturally. Like what the culture says is okay is the Bible. Then we're looking at each other like, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I just watched Oprah, and I saw exactly what you're supposed to be
that life
doing.
class.
You're not a man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? You need to man up. Step your game up, homie.
yeah.
You know, and we'll do the same thing with women. You know, like, hey, how come you're not taking care of these kids?
Yeah.
You know, how come the house all dirty?
Yeah.
You know, like,
That's real.
So that's a good point. I mean, the dudes that we're dating, we don't know what kind of household they grew up in.
Right.
So, I mean, if you can speak to it
Rough.
from a female's perspective, like how to, I don't know, how to counter that, or do we taper our expectations, guys, or what?
One thing I have noticed, like in the media and everything, that's all that is in our face. And for most young people, that's all that they see, that's all that they read, that's all that they listen to. So it goes back to what, like you were saying, what's the upbringing? What's that person's upbringing? How were they brought in their household? What were their parents like? Because that plays a big part. Like for me, I grew up in a Christian home, but I wasn't always a Christian. It didn't hit into me until my 20s. So all that time, I was doing what I wanted to do. You know, I didn't have a marriage to look up to
Got it.
when I was growing up. I didn't see that until I was going to church. Till I saw the Christian marriages in church, my pastor, other members of the church, and that's where I got my idea of this is what a Christian marriage looks like. Before then, it was what society said. So it does play a big role, you know what I mean?
It's funny, like I looked at the comments on Jeanette's vows on Facebook, where like on our page where it's a following the number of Christians, it was like a lot of, man, this is beautiful. I hope I find a woman like that. She was good to be able to wait. That video also got posted on World Star Hip Hop.
Did it?
And it got 50, 60, 70,000 views there, and the comments there were different. And they were all very derogatory towards Jeanette, basically. Like, she's talking too long. I would slap her. She needs to, like, all kind of negative things. Like, that dude is about to get run over by that girl. All kind of things that were negative in terms of the virtue and the honesty she was putting forward were different. But here's the thing. That's the people's thoughts and beliefs are formed by that. Those are our friends, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins that are mixing in and thinking, how should marriage be? For us in our family, we have a plan. Like, we plan like, what are we going to teach our kids about life, about Christianity, about friends. Some of it we learned at church, some from other Christian friends, all of it centering on the Word. If we don't plan well for how we're going to raise ourselves and have society and not fear saying things like, I would like to have an expectation, certain expectations of my wife, or my husband, then we already lost.
And, you know, I think that speaks to, you know, when people talk about dating someone who's not a Christian, they're like, well, should we be unequally yoked? And that can get, like, really muttered, like, what does yoke mean? Is he an egg? You know, like, we don't, it can get so muttered, right? But just even, if you're dating somebody who's of the world star world versus the people seeing Facebook world, and you see something that is that beautiful as that the 10-minute vows, that means someone poured their heart and soul into that, and the dude that you're like, yo, look at him, he's like, yo, that's whack. You're like, oof. But what if that's what I identify with? So we can get so into biblical terms that we don't understand, like, what's unequally yoked? But it's like, yo, you don't see the beauty in that? Oh, we're not gonna make it. Because that's just, we don't even have to get into whether I cook or not.
Exactly.
You're not
That's my whole point.
the one, boo-boo.
Thank you. I agree with you.
Exactly.
100%.